Welcome back to Casual Bias Rugby. It is the official match preview between All Blacks taking on Ireland in the Rugby World Cup. I almost said semi-finals because it could just as well have been a semi-final in the quarterfinals of the Rugby World Cup. And my oh my, am I excited. I mean, both squads has been announced, so we'll go into the squads, see where each team could get their advantage points. Of course, a good little old history between these two teams in the past 4 years. New Zealand, they met each other in the previous quarterfinal. New Zealand, of course, won 40-10 or something like that. I can't remember too exactly. And that was when I think Ireland were in the top three. I think they might have been number one at a certain point in that day and age. And then, of course, who could forget the history-making tour of New Zealand, where Ireland actually came back being 1-0 down in the series, lost the game in Auckland, and then came back to win the series for the first time ever on New Zealand soil, which was absolutely crazy. I'm almost more excited for this game than I am for our game against France, which tells you everything you need to know about this fixture. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with the New Zealand lineup, with the front rows, you got Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax. Three trusty boys. I mean, no real issues there. Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax, of course, going back against the game they had against South Africa. They were absolutely brilliant. They matched up physically brilliantly. Of course, going up against Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tide Furlong, who also matched South Africa physically. So it's two giants when it comes to the forward pack matching up against each other, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, most people would probably say Dan Sheehan and Tide Furlong, Andrew Porter as well, could be in the world 15 with the way that they are playing. So, in my opinion, Malcolm Mark's still the best two in the world, but a lot of people have been calling for Dan Sheehan to get that rank as the best hooker in the world. So that is a big battle. I would love to see how they match up. Of course, I think overall Ireland might have the physicality advantage, but I mean, you can't have too much of an advantage over Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax. Those guys hold themselves accountable. They are absolutely brilliant as well. Moving on to the locks, you've got Brodie Retallick, probably one of the best, if not the best, to ever do it, just behind Ebenetsebet, in my opinion. Going up against Tide Byrne and Ian Henderson, Brodie Retallick and Scott Barrett. I mean, jeez, it's just giant names against other giant names. Of course, Henderson in for, I don't even know, who's the number 5 usually for Ireland? I can't remember too much, but I mean, Tide Byrne, he's been in the form of his life, of course, scored about 1 billion tries against Romania, scored against Tonga as well. Brodie Retallick has been doing it for years and years and years. Scott Barrett has been an absolute revelation, definitely in a World 15 if it comes to locks, in my opinion. At the moment, his form has been astronomical. So it will be interesting because we know the generals of New Zealand when it comes to Brodie Retallick is a line-out specialist. And Ireland struggled with their line-outs against South Africa. I wonder how much New Zealand could disrupt that line-out to avoid the maul if it was a 5-meter line-out or something like that. So Brodie Retallick and Scott Barrett are absolutely crucial for this team of New Zealand. And then moving on, you've got the Lucies, Shannon Frizzell. Of course, it's Shannon Frizzell, Sam Cane and Adi Savia going up against Peter Amani, Josh van der Vlier, the South African. Of course, I know he's not South African before you come at me in the comments. And then Kalen Doris. I saw an interesting video on Off the Ball where a guy on the show said Sam Cane isn't a good rucker. I think he's absolutely brilliant at ruck time. I don't think I would have started him necessarily, just because I love Dalton Papali'i so much, and I think he's been absolutely brilliant. But I mean, Sam Cane, of course, the captain of the team as well. I had some banter thrown at Shannon Frizzell when we played against New Zealand and we got spanked. And I said he only had one good game in his life and he absolutely shut me up completely. The guy was a steamroller in that game. But I mean, Peter O'Mahony, Josh van der Vlier, current player of the year, and Kalen Torres, that is some big eaters that New Zealand are going up against. And I mean, Peter O'Mahony has just been gold. I mean, just look at the interview he gave after the Scotland game. The guy literally just shows no emotions. He's there for one job. And you have to respect this Ireland team. I mean, doing it for so long. I think the past 18 months undefeated, which is absolutely insane. But I actually saw a thread on Twitter. If you don't know, I have Twitter, Casual Bias Rugby. Search it, it's up here. Give it a follow if you want to. But I saw people asking, would you prefer Kalen Torres or Adi Savia? And I had some words to say, because I think it's almost disrespectful to make that type of to start a conversation like this, because Kalen Torres maybe currently on current form could probably be better than Adi Savia, like right now. But it is disrespectful to Adi Savia to put Kalen Torres and him in the same boat, because I see Adi Savia as probably one of the best players to ever do it. Like, he should be in the mixture of comparisons to the likes of Richie McCaw. I just think he's absolutely brilliant. He's done it for years and years and years. And can you say Kalen Torres gets above him on current form? When I feel he's been robbed of Player of the Year. Never mind, didn't even get a nomination to be in there. When everyone with the struggling New Zealand team last season, okay, he's been a standout performer. Just week after week after week after week. And it's not a shot at Kalen Torres at all. I think he's absolutely brilliant. But I mean, Adi Savia is in a league of his own, and he's been in a league of his own for years. Okay, so overall, I'll give the forwards battle, I'll give the advantage to Ireland. I just think they've been absolutely brilliant when it comes to their physical domination. They've stood their grounds against the best of the best. Yeah, but you can't look down on this All Blacks team. Anyway, moving on to the back line, you've got, in my opinion, the best 9 to ever do it, Aaron Smith, and I still feel he's the best 9. I still think he's better than Antoine Dupont. It's a wild shout. Okay, I know Dupont is the World Player of the Year. 2 seasons ago? But I just think the experience, the knowledge that Aaron Smith brings to the table is unmatched. I mean, just look at the game between New Zealand and France. Yeah, the All Blacks lost, okay? But I think Aaron Smith had Dupont in his pocket all game. I think it was one of Aaron Smith's better games, one of Dupont's worst games, and it's just because of each other. And then the best 10 in the world for me, still in this... Of course, this is all just my opinion, okay? You can differ. But Richie Mo'unga, what can't this guy do? He can run the ball, he can tackle, he can kick the ball. Brilliant pass on him. He reads the game exceptionally. He scores tries. And then going up against Jameson Gibson Park, and then people have got Johnny Sexton in the GOAT conversation. Okay, that's up for debate. You can have your debate. But that is a very interesting battle. But I have to give it to the All Blacks. It's just experience and high IQ of the game. Aaron Smith and Richie Mo'unga takes that one for me. But of course, you cannot write off Gibson Park and Johnny Sexton. Johnny Sexton as well, doing it for about 44 years. The guy is older than all the refs on the field, so you know he's going to bring experience. He reads the game brilliantly, and he's a proper general for this team. I don't think... When was the last time Ireland lost a game with Johnny Sexton playing? I saw some crazy stat. I can't even remember when it was. Was it like 2020? 2021? I mean... It's absolutely crazy to think about it. Moving on to the centres, Pundi Aki and Gary Ringrose versus Jordie Barrett and Rico Ioane. And this is no disrespect towards the All Blacks. But I mean, Pundi Aki and Gary Ringrose has to take this one in the centre combinations. They've been absolutely crazy. People have been saying Gary Ringrose hasn't been at his top form necessarily. But I still think people have been putting him above just before they've been writing him off, and he was absolutely outstanding against Scotland in that first try, seeing a hole out of nothing and creating. And then Bundiaki, who's probably on current form, the best number 12 in the world. I still feel Rika Ioane is a wing playing at the outside, on the outside centre position. He can create something out of nothing and have a special moment. But Bundiaki, Gary Ringrose, that combination is absolutely lethal. Probably the best combination in the world currently. So you can't disrespect them. Of course, Bundiaki coming from Samoa. I think I saw a Twitter post today as well about him working as a banker in Auckland. So that's always interesting, going up against the country. I wouldn't say your birth country because he was born in Samoa. But yeah, going against the country that you have so much family in and stuff. So moving on to the wings, we've got Leicester Fainganuku and Will Jordan. Of course, no Mark Delia. I'm not too sure why he's not playing. Is he injured? Is he sick? But he couldn't have asked for a better replacement. I think Leicester Fainganuku has been a revelation. The guy is a workhorse. He's absolutely everywhere. You find him so many times in the midfield, doing the hard yards, making the tackles. You see him so many times even in the ruck. The guy's absolutely crazy. He was brilliant for Crusaders before the World Cup. And he's a try-scoring machine as well. I've got him in my Rugby World Cup fantasy team, and he scored me a hat-trick when I triple captained him. Did I triple captain Benno against? No, I didn't. But I captained him once, and he made a shit ton of points. So I love Leicester Fainganuku. The guy's been absolutely brilliant. I don't know why Mark Delia isn't playing. You can let me know. But there is no better replacement. Moving on, you're playing against Mac Hansen and James Lowe. Of course, James Lowe, New Zealander himself. And Mac Hansen, an Aussie. Now, there was doubts about both of those guys playing, but both of them are fine. So, that is a very interesting battle. Of course, James Lowe has been brilliant. Very different dynamics when you look at James Lowe and Mac Hansen versus Leicester Fainganuku and Will Jordan. Of course, Will Jordan, try-scoring machine. He's got I think he's got more tries, or almost on par with tries versus games, which is ridiculous to think about it. Mac Hansen has been absolutely brilliant. Apparently, he went to Ireland on a drinking trip and then got picked up to play some rugby, and look where he's at now. That is crazy. Crazy to think about it. And then finally, in number 15, you got Bowden Barrett versus Hugo Keenan. Of course, Hugo Keenan, one of the best 15s in the world currently. I don't know too much about Hugo Keenan, to be honest. I won't speak about him too much, but I still feel Bowden Barrett is one of the most underrated players in the world. The things that he brings to the table is absolutely crazy. He was one of the best 10s to ever do it. And I think he's one of the best 15s, if not the best 15 in the world still. I think he's criminally underrated. He's still got that work rate, brilliant in defense, brilliant in attack. Of course, he's still got the speed that he's always had. So, yeah, this is a brilliant game. I mean, I've said it a couple of times, but I'm so excited for this game. I think the game is won and lost with the starters. I know most people say wait till the bench comes on and stuff, but I mean, whoever gets that flyer gets the job done. I think one of the two teams comes out flying, gets a couple of points, and that kind of sets the tone for the match to be played in. But anyway, moving on to the bench, Dane Colst, Mighty Williams and Fletcher Newell on the bench for New Zealand versus Ronan Kelleher, David Kilcoyne, and Finley Beam. I don't know too much about the Irish bench. I'm not too up to date with all of them. I know Ronan Kelleher has been absolutely brilliant. Dan Sheehan, of course, didn't start the first couple of games. I think he might have been injured and returned, so they started him on the bench a couple of times. But Ronan Kelleher has been absolutely brilliant. Dane Coles, the veteran. Of course, no Samisoni Takiao, the youngster, not there. But Dane Coles, the experience. That's the one thing that I think New Zealand has a bit more of coming from the bench, and that is experience when it comes to high pressure games, and that could take them over the line. I mean, Dane Coles, he's got about 1 billion caps. The Mighty Williams is inexperienced, but still a very good player, still a young boy, absolutely massive. I think he's about 380 kilograms. Fletcher Neal, of course, he's done his job every time he's come on. And then you get into the experience bringing on Sam Whitelock. It will be interesting to see where Sam goes on. Does he replace Brodie Retallick or Scott Barrett? Or do they decide, listen, we're going to take off Sam Cane and maybe bring on Sam Whitelock, move Scott Barrett to that number 6 position or 7 position? That will be very interesting to see. Of course, going up against Joe McCarthy and Jack Conan. Of course, Dalton Papalia on the bench as well. Now, the surprises for me. No Cam Roygaard. Is this guy injured? He's been one of the best 9s, probably the best 9 of the Rugby World Cup so far. Finley Christie on the bench. Now, I'm not too sure why that is happening. Of course, Ireland bringing the experience of the bench with Conor Murray. So you're going to see the Finley Christie versus Conor Murray unless they decide, listen, we're going to play Aaron Smith for about 70 minutes and then give Finley Christie the last 10. So I'm not too sure what is happening there. But of course, the man that everyone's been talking about, Damian McKenzie, should have been the first player on the team sheet. Throwing him on the bench, brilliant. Okay? It's the same as that I say about Kwagga Smith, one of the first names on the team sheet, even though he goes straight to the bench. The difference Damian McKenzie can make when you are chasing a game, or even when you are in the lead and the other team's chasing the game, is brilliant. Such a flary player, creates something out of nothing, slots into the fullback position perfectly, slots into that 10 position perfectly. He's probably had the season of his life this far. So very glad to see him on the bench. And of course you got Anton Lennon-Brown on the bench as well to probably replace Jordie Barrett, slot into that number 12 position. And he's been brilliant as well, coming on from the bench into that centre position, going up against Jack Rawley and Jimmy O'Brien. Jack Rawley to replace Johnny Sexton, obviously, because Johnny Sexton's kneecaps will fall off at about 60 minutes since he's 55 years of age. Of course, people, I'm not disrespecting Johnny Sexton at all. It's just a bit of banter. So relax before you get on to me with that one. Moving on to our overall predictions. And I said that I want New Zealand to win this game. I love New Zealand. This is not a shot at Ireland specifically. But you gotta back the Southern Hemisphere. It's rugby heritage. Ireland shouldn't see the semi-final, but I do have Ireland to win this game. I think I predicted Ireland to win by 5 or 6 points. I think it's going to be a nail-biter, but I do have Ireland to take this, but I would love for myself to be wrong. Yeah, I would love it. Just feels proper, because we know whichever team wins here is playing in the final, and they're playing against South Africa in the final. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, so that's the official prediction. Ireland to win this game by 6 points. I just feel when it comes to the physicality, they'll have the upper hand. They've been on the massive winning streak. Of course, we mentioned in the previous video that, which makes this game a bit better, even though it's already a classic, is the fact that New Zealand is defending their winning streak record, and Ireland is going for the winning streak record. I'm excited, man. Give me your predictions. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it. See you next time. Thank you.